Good morning, everybody. I know that I stand between you and your lunch, so I'll be fairly quick. I've been asked to talk to you to tee you up for the exercise you're going to do over lunch about what systems approaches might be. And I'm going to try and explain that in the next few minutes. We all live in systems. If you think about your house is a system. If the windows aren't working properly, then your heating doesn't work properly. And so it is for our health and our behaviour. We work in a system. If you want to try to eat healthily, but the only options you have to eat are things that are high fat, high salt and high sugar, because that's where you live or that's what the choices are, then eating in a healthy way is going to be difficult. So there are system issues. So I want to make a few key points to get you ready for the exercise you're going to do over lunch. First of all, in order to really change people's behaviour, you need to have both what we call upstream and downstream activities. What do I mean by that? Well, imagine two people fishing by a river, and all of a sudden somebody comes past them who is struggling to stay afloat, and then another person, and they pull these people out. Well, that's a downstream intervention after the problem has already happened. So things like weight management to get people back to a healthy weight and things when people are already ill are downstream interventions. You need those and they do work. But most people think that's the only place you can apply behaviour change, and that would be wrong. What we need to get to make a really good population impact is upstream interventions. So you stop those people falling in the river in the first place, or as many of them as you can. And you can use behaviour change there. You can use tools like social marketing. You can use tools like nudge or behavioural insights. And you can use tools like actually redesigning the behavioural options. So, for example, where you put vending machines and what you put in vending machines, so that people can actually be supported to make choices much more easily and change their behaviour. So you need to think about what you can do that's downstream and what you can do that's upstream. So having said that, how do you then move to a system approach? Well, in some ways it's quite simple. You just think about the different bits of the system we live in that influence our behaviour. So if you're into a leisure centre, are the vending machines equipped with healthy choices? Is there free water? Is everything you can buy unhealthy? If you're thinking about a theatre, are there healthy choices? Are they put as prominently as the unhealthy choices? Is your pricing structure right? Those, for example, are bits of system approaches that you might not think about. The other systems approaches, people assume wrongly when we go out to eat that it's a treat, but actually most people now eat out at least twice a week, whether it's a piece of cake or a proper meal. So portion size and what goes into those portions needs to be thought through as much for the system change, which is why we need to kind of control the amount of salt and fat and sugar that goes into our food. So how do you develop a systems approach? Well, I think you should ask yourselves, while you're working over lunch, the following questions. Firstly, take a hypothetical individual, and I know you're about to be given some case studies of people. Secondly, get a small bunch of you together and look at that individual. And thirdly, ask what each of you can contribute to help that person be healthy, both physically and psychologically. And the easiest way to do this is play to your strengths. So if your strength is doing a particular kind of drama class, or doing an art class, or having some kind of creative work, then actually working in mental health to help people cope with stress or cope with long-term illnesses should be something you could do really quite easily, because you've got a strength in that. If your strength is in physical activity, then helping people use physical activity for exercise could be really easy as a win. So play to your strengths. And just as an example, people with long-term conditions, maybe diabetes, who are stressed by it, something from arts or creative world coming together like dance, maybe with something like physical activity, some kind of class, could come together really well to produce something. It's these little flashes of inspiration that work from your strengths that give you the best response, I think. So singing to build your lung capacity, to help people cope with COPD or heart failure, might sound simple, but it's actually about playing to your strengths. So those would be my top tips. Get together around the case study, work out who could do what, work out the fact that it plays to your strengths, and don't do things that don't play to your strengths, and get some quick wins in. Those are my top tips. Have a great lunch, have a great session, and I hope you enjoy the work that you're going to do, because I think it's in this space that you can really change lives and change health and actually change Hertfordshire.